once you get done, finish reading Pluto, definitely read the third volume of the Astro Boy manga,
Okay. Well, hey, read the Batman of Arkham. God damn it, it's so good.
The Batman of Arkham. What was that one again?
It's the one where Bruce Wayne runs Arkham Asylum, and he's a doctor just like his dad,
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to cure the patients while fighting them at night.
Okay,
So he's like arresting them and then curing them.
that sounds very difficult to do.
It's a very interesting book.
All right.
Really cool art too.
All right. Well, welcome back. This is Become a Bat, episode 15.
Jeez.
I know, time flies.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we are going to cover the last two stories in Batman number 2, and that should get us closer synced together back into 1942, where we are with Detective Comics.
Yeah, I think these two stories sync up really well with the last episode, actually. There were some callbacks. Even.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah.
We get the return of our favorite McGonagall.
Yes.
Yeah, which I looked online. I think this is his last issue.
Man, he was really underplayed in this
His
issue
first
too.
and last. Yeah,
I was hoping for more.
I know. It's like that's the biggest shame of these.
Seriously.
Yeah. So
You need a McGonagall shirt.
we do.
Yeah, he looks like Charlie Chaplin a little bit. Have you noticed that?
He does, yeah. I think if like Neil Gaiman or Grant Morrison, they love to bring back like these old classic like Golden Age
Mm-hmm.
callbacks. Like if they're to get them back on Batman or something to do it, they should bring back McGonagall.
Dude, you just need to write a McGonagall story.
We do.
Detective number, instead of calling it like Detective 27, call it Detective 28 or something, or whatever issue he appears in, and then just make it about McGonagall and his rise and fall.
Hashtag justice for McGonagall.
Yes.
All right. First story today we're going to do is Batman number 2. Story number 3, The Crime School for Boys. Art is by Bob Kane, Jerry Robinson, and George Russos. Written by Bill Finger.
Yep.
All right. So I know you want to take over the
I do.
The thing here.
The splash page here.
Yeah, splash.
Before I do, I just want to bring something up, because we always say art by Bob Kane, Jerry Robinson, and George Russos, because we don't really know who's responsible for what.
Yeah.
If you look online, it breaks it down, and it says like pencils by Bob Kane, inking by Jerry Robinson and George Russos, and lettering by George Russos. But
Yeah.
we know that Bob Kane had a bunch of ghost artists, so there's a very good chance that they all had a hand in the art as well,
For
in
the
all
most part,
aspects.
For the most part, just to simplify things, I just put down art by Bob, blah, blah, blah.
I know. I just want to say that for anybody listening, like they're probably equally responsible, but if you look online, it's going to tell you what.
Which isn't to disrespect anybody who's a penciler or an inker or anything like that.
No. It's all takes an equal amount of talent.
Exactly.
But yeah. All right. Here we go. The splash page. Wherever criminals meet, sooner or later, a deadly hush stills their talk as they speak furtively of a dread figure of night. A figure that seems to materialize out of the darkness like a fantastic demon. The Batman. Then, a man will curse and whisper of another smaller figure. A sturdy, lithe figure, with a daredevil grin on his face. Robin, the boy wonder. For these are the two who are the arch foes of crime. It is they we will meet in this, the case of the crime school for boys.
I know these are comics, but I wonder if they're getting paid by the letter.
They've got to be.
Yeah.
I love those, though. They're so cheesy. They're so good.
Yeah, especially for an issue where Batman just basically just eliminates a school for criminals.
Just beats a bunch of people up.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words for someone just beating people up.
Yep. All right, so here is the synopsis. The story begins with Batman already in a fight with a group of mobsters on the roof of a building. Batman is too much for this group, so they try to escape across the rooftops. Batman chases after them. He grabs a couple of ropes attached across the buildings when one is cut. Batman swings down and dispatches a few on a fire escape. He chases down and catches the last one standing and is surprised to find out he's only a kid. An officer is coming down and the kid pleads for Batman to let him go. Batman obliges and decides to see where he goes. Batman follows the kid to a warehouse. He gets to the roof and spies from a skylight. Inside, he finds a group of boys being taught by a man how to pickpocket and other crimes. Batman decides that he has to do something about this crime school. Later on, Bruce Wayne tells Dick Grayson about what he saw and how they have to be subtle about ending the school. Bruce has to do it in a way that makes the boys hate crime in the end. He comes up with a plan. He rents out an old barn and turns it into a gymnasium for underprivileged children.
Can we pause for a sec? I just thought of something. What if these names of these books are like the names of Batman's dossiers? Like in his filing cabinet, the case of the crime school for boys. That's like what it's
Oh,
called.
yeah.
Because he's the one who calls it the crime school. They don't call it that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's all. Just a weird thought.
Yeah. Kind of like Dr. Watson, all the cases for Sherlock Holmes or like
Mhm.
the Dr. Watson's
Yeah.
stories based on them. All right. A group of kids are lounging around when they spot Dick walking around. They try to teach him a lesson. One of the kids tries to punch Dick in the face, but Dick dodges and punches back and flips him. The kids are super impressed. They ask Dick how he learned those moves, and he tells them about a gym where they teach sports and other kind of things like that, and he invites them to go. They get there and are super impressed. Days later, the kids are playing basketball, and one kid trips a player on the other team. Dick tells them that they got to play fair. So they take Dick's word to heart, but only in matters of sports. Dick overhears a couple of them talking about getting the gang together and going to the crime school. Dick tells Bruce the news. So the boys invite Dick to go to the school, meet their teacher, Pockets. Dick calls up Bruce to update him on the plan, and Bruce says that he'll be there. They enroll Dick into the crime school that night, and Pockets introduces them to a criminal named Big Boy Daniels.
What a name.
The boys all think Daniels is pretty cool. Do you think Batman's jealous?
Nah.
No.
He knows he's cool. He doesn't need
Yeah.
reinforcement.
Daniels lays out the plan. He has his men split up into mini gangs, and each one of these little mini gangs takes on a kid. One gang will rob the Wolf Fur warehouse, and the other will rob the Van Payson apartment. The next night at the Wolf Fur house,
Damn.
wow, the werewolf house. So the next night at the Wolf Fur warehouse, so the gang's there, they're doing the job, and Batman makes his presence known. He jumps down and he tackles some of the men. They get up and run towards Batman in a straight line. Batman grabs a ladder and he lowers it down on them and he punches them all in the jaw while they're helpless. He confronts the boy and he scares him straight. Batman makes his way towards the Van Payson apartment. He swings them, knocks them down, they get up, and he tricks them into punching each other. He also gets the kid there and he tells him, go straight, and the kid obliges.
You picked that's a really hard sequence to describe.
That was, yeah.
Everything that happens right there is so comical and so impossible.
Yeah, that paragraph I had to redo 5 times to make it work. It makes sense when
Yeah.
you read it in paper.
I'll try to describe it better when
Yeah.
we get down to the panels, because I know that that's part of the panels.
Yeah. So the next night, Daniels is telling Pockets just how angry he is that Batman sent off his men to jail. Daniel suspects that there's a rat among them, and he swears that he'll kill him. So Batman just so happens to call up somebody in the mob on the phone that moment, and he tells him to close up the crime school that Pockets runs. The goon hangs up, and he runs in to tell Daniels that Pockets is the rat. Daniels goes to the crime school and he shoots Pockets. Batman jumps down, seeing that he's outnumbered and they're all armed. He challenges Big Boy Daniels to a fist fight, which Daniels agrees to. Now, Daniels is a pretty big guy, and this seems to be a pretty even match. Daniels chooses to play dirty, and he breaks a chair over Batman. Batman shrugs it off like it's nothing. Daniels tries to choke Batman out, but Batman pushes him off, and slams him into a table. Daniels gets up, and he tries to put Batman in a sleeper hold, and Batman flips him right off. Big Boy Daniels resorts to his gun. The kids all see that he's not playing fair. Dick convinces them that this just ain't right. The boys all work together, and they beat the crap out of the gangsters. In the chaos, Batman lays out one final punch, ending the career of Big Boy Daniels. Batman had convinced the boys that crime doesn't pay. Days later, the boys are at the gym, and they lament the fact that their friend Dick had to suddenly move away. Bruce and Dick talk about a job well done, and Bruce encourages cities across the country to open up more playgrounds and gyms to encourage kids to go to school and church so someday they will wipe out crime. The end.
Was that last part from that page that I put on the bottom?
No. That was the actual panel that Bruce and Dick were talking about. It's just them talking, but it's, it's been 80 years since that issue came out,
Yeah.
and that didn't work, Batman.
I feel like this issue, I feel like this issue is kind of a PSA, but I also feel like this issue, I keep saying issue, I feel like this story in this issue is almost like Bob Kane trying to be like, hey, parents, I know that in the previous Batman issues, Batman killed a bunch of people and put Robin in danger, but they're good guys and they're upstanding citizens and they're trying to teach your kids how to do right.
What's funny is In that one book we read, the Batman Golden Age one,
Mhm.
they did like say they had the new editor who took over right around the time of the Mad Monk story,
Yeah.
and she didn't want Batman to kill as much or
Yeah.
at all. So they like said, okay, yeah, Batman doesn't kill, but he's still killing people. And they introduced Robin to like soften the image. And
Yeah.
we know Robin kills at least 6, 7 mobsters in his debut.
Well, I was even gonna say, in
Yeah.
the end, when he punched that dude in the face, did he survive that punch? Because Batman punches pretty hard.
And I think Big Boy Daniels definitely survived, but
Yeah.
I know somebody in like, was it this issue or another one? I think it was in this one where he like kicked somebody out of a window.
He
Like,
definitely does that.
yeah, there's definitely like, you don't see a lot of people just explicitly dying, but like they definitely have things happen to them where they're not going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he definitely kills people in both of these.
Yeah. So this wasn't a bad issue. Like I did like this one overall. I kind of expected it to be Robin heavy.
I mean, in a way, it was. It was dick heavy.
Robin never like puts on a suit. So I was kind of expecting this more to be like a retread of the issue where Robin goes to that school to find the serial killer there.
Yeah.
But it ended up being nothing like that.
Well, if they did that, I would have felt a little repetitive, I guess, because
Yeah.
he already did infiltrate his school.
Yeah. I do think the idea of a mobster putting together a crime school is is a pretty funny one.
Mm-hmm.
Like his long term thinking there. Batman, he recruited a kid and his crime, I mean it's like his
Right. His war
his
against
crew
crime.
was war against crime. So it's kind of funny that the gangsters they retaliate by recruiting kids in their war for crime
Against Batman. in
against
every way.
Batman. It's the escalation theme from The
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
Kind of it is, yeah.
Yeah. But Batman's plan, to basically take the school out systematically, it's long term thinking. There's also it kind of reminded me of the Scared Straight program. Are you aware of what that was?
No, what's that?
So there was a documentary in like the 70s where they would take kids like who were like on the fringes of like doing crime or whatever, and they took them to a prison, and they would like
Mm.
have them like talk to prisoners, and the prisoners would try to like show them how terrible crime was, and like going to prison is bad. But it ended up backfiring. They ended up like doing studies on the kids like decades later, and most of them ended up going to like prison. It turns out like the Scary Straight doesn't work.
They just idolize those guys, and they're like, at least I know where I'm gonna end up.
Well, yeah, they ended up like learning how to do crime better. So I don't know if Batman's plan to scare these kids straight would have actually worked, but it's a comic book, whatever.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one?
I got a few. So I thought it was interesting that it focuses on Dick Grayson. It doesn't focus on Batman, it doesn't focus on Robin, it focuses on Dick. And it focuses on the positive influence that he can have on other kids that Batman can't have. Because the only reason he's in that crime school is because Batman came up with the idea to send him there. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like he volunteered, but because Batman knows that these kids would actually listen to him, which makes sense because he's kind of a badass and he's way more of a badass than any of them are.
Yeah.
And he's got like morals and all that. So I liked all the stuff between him and the other kids and how they were like, whoa, this kid's cool. Let's do what he does.
Yeah.
Not even knowing that he's Robin at all.
Yeah. Batman wouldn't have been able to do this alone. I mean, even
No.
that kid he confronts at the very beginning of the issue, he just runs straight towards his school. So,
Yep.
like, after confronting the Batman. So,
Right.
Batman alone wouldn't have been able to do it.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I feel like this was kind of a PSA, or maybe not like a PSA, but like an apology
Mhm.
from Bob Kane to parents saying that these are good characters doing good things. Look, let me prove it to you. But it's not in a bad way. Like it's not too in your face. You can feel it a little more towards the end.
Mhm.
Also, I wonder how much money Bruce Wayne spent on buying that warehouse and turning it into a gymnasium and how quickly they were able to actually do that.
Yeah. He had to do it fast.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it would take too long, but
This is the 40s, though. It's not-
40s coming on after in the middle of
Yeah.
the Depression.
Towards the end of it, I guess.
Yeah, I know. You just got to like pretend Bruce Wayne just has unlimited money and
Yeah.
roll with it.
I think also Batman felt genuinely angry in this issue. Like he clearly has issues with kids being mistreated and misused. He's always kind of had a soft spot for kids in bad situations in modern comics and in modern movies. But I think this is really, besides him adopting Dick Grayson as his ward,
Mhm.
this is like the first time that we've really seen him dealing with that,
Yeah.
other than that first issue where Robin is brought in.
Yeah, they definitely later on would play with the idea that he's like a kid at heart.
Yeah. Or, yeah, like his inner kid, always like crying, like seeking revenge.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I thought that was cool. You want to get into those panels?
Yeah, let's get into these panels. You picked the first one, it looks like.
I did. Yeah, I'm a sucker for these shots. I say this all the time, but any shot where Batman's like swinging on a rope or he's like perching on a gargoyle or whatever, and there's like the moon or something in the background. I love it.
Yeah.
And I especially love these old ones in these issues because it always shows that really iconic shot of him swinging. And then it's got a little blurb on the bottom that just makes it so much sweeter. I'm going to read this one actually. So it says, but at that very instant, a black-clad figure dangles over sheer and dizzy heights in a death-defying swing into space. That you really like to say death-defying and swing and all that kind of stuff in these old comics.
They did.
It's cool, though. I really like it. Batman kind of weirdly looks like he has his legs crossed while he's swinging,
Yeah, that's kind of a weird.
but it's still a really cool picture.
It's almost like an illusion, which foot, which
Yeah,
leg is the
right.
one in front, and
I
it changes depending on which where you're following it.
Yep. I picked this next two panels actually technically too, so I'll go over these
Yeah.
real quick. So the next panel I picked is the one that you were trying to describe, where there's two dudes. I don't even know how to describe this. Basically, they're about to punch each other in the face, like they're swinging back and they're throwing their fists forward, and Batman just like ducks at the perfect time. They both deck each other in the face. It's just a really funny visual because Batman's like crouching down, kind of grinning, and they're just like eating each other's fists.
Yeah.
And then the one after that is the one where he like is being choked by the guy and he just like chucks him into a table with one hand. It's just a really impressive image.
Yeah.
And then it says like, with a sudden surge of strength, the Batman shoves the mobster from him, but it looks like he's not even trying. And then there's a little circular panel attached to this panel where he's just like bulking up and just trying to look super intimidating, which he's done in a couple other issues too. And he's like, get up and fight, rat.
Yeah. It's really dynamic.
Yeah.
So the ones I picked, it's like the first one is like a 3-panel sequence. Batman and the ladder. It's right out of like Three Stooges or something.
I would have picked this one too.
Yeah. So Batman lifts up a ladder, and then like the three goons are coming at him like in a line, so they have to be like perfectly spaced. And then Batman lowers the ladder down on them, so all of them are like trapped within like the rungs. Which I do feel like the perspective of the ladder is like changing
Yeah,
for this to
definitely.
be possible because
They got extra wide so that they could fit in it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense in real life, but like when you're making a comic, you're like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And you know that's the right call sometimes.
Well, then I love this next part here where he punches them all at the same time.
Yeah.
But wouldn't the ladder fall? I think it would fall right down around their ankles.
I think maybe it wouldn't fall. I think your reflex as you're getting like punched or like you have it coming out is to try to widen out yourself to get rid of it, but it would constrict you kind of like a Chinese finger trap.
Yeah. I mean, the whole logic in these panels is flawed, but
Yeah.
it's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Just the way he's like, after they're all lined up and he's just like, zoom, with like one punch, and that one punch hits all three faces.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then the last panel I chose is the one where Dick basically he tells all the kids just to like go crazy, you know, that they're not, you know, on the gangsters. So
Yeah, I love
it's just a very chaotic shot of a bunch of adults getting clowned on by a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
You got the two in front who are pulling the ears on the guy in the green suit. Dick is punching one in the face. One of them, like the guy behind him, I don't even know what's going on there. And then one kid's got the other one on his shoulders, and the other one's got like a baseball bat and just whacking the other one in the head.
Yeah, it's so
It's
good.
funny.
These kids were throwing me off in the beginning because I couldn't figure out what they were trying to say because they have accents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because this one kid's like, tell me if I hoit yous. And the other kid's like, I'll bet this guy's ears are boining.
Yeah, they're playing up that 1930s newsboy accent thing I got going on.
It's good stuff. But it's funny though, because Dick's the only one who doesn't talk like that.
Yeah,
And they're just like, yeah, he's one of us.
you gotta wonder where Dick was born. Like he wasn't born in Manhattan, so
He's part of a traveling circus, right?
Yeah,
So he
so
could have been born
he
anywhere.
could have been born anywhere, so he probably doesn't have a fixed accent.
Nah.
Like probably just
That's a good question. Where are the Flying Graysons from?
Yeah, I wonder if that's ever explored.
Probably if we looked it up, I bet we'd know.
Yeah, I know they sort of do that on Gotham TV show, but
Yeah.
I think maybe that is, I think that was maybe just one episode. Who cares? All right. Any final thoughts on this one?
Nope. I think we basically covered it all. This is a really basic issue with not a lot going on, except for that panel where he throws the ladder over everybody and punches them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun one, but
Yep.
yeah, definitely felt like an apology or a PSA.
Yep. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we'll continue on with the final story, Batman 3, Batman versus the Catwoman.
Yeah. And we're back with Batman number 3, the final story from this issue. The Batman versus the Catwoman. Written by Bill Finger, art by Bob Kane, Jerry Robinson, and George Russos. And I will let you do the splash page this time around.
All right, let's give this a whirl. Batman, eerie nemesis of crime, and his young daredevil aide Robin, the boy wonder, find themselves crossing the trail of a familiar figure, the beautiful and clever woman called the Catwoman who flirts with danger and death. In this grim contest between a man and a woman, who will win? Who will be the victor in the game of the Batman versus the Catwoman?
Dun, dun, dun. I like that splash page too, because they're trying to make her like really sexy because she has like a garter strap on and it's
Yeah.
her skirt's like, or her dress is like hiking up a little bit so you can see it. But then at the same time, she has this hideous, realistic cat mask on.
Yeah, I think we should probably talk about that real quick before we get to the synopsis. That cat mask is awful.
Yeah, this might be the only issue that it's actually in because they haven't used it at all so far. And then all of a sudden, she's got this ugly mask.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, on one hand, it's like this big ugly mask, so I think it's like probably harder to draw.
Yeah.
And two, I'm pretty sure they like after this issue, they're like, that was a terrible idea. Let's just go drawing like a beautiful woman again.
Right. Just draw a mask more like Batman's, which
Yeah.
eventually they do.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is like Batman is like, he dresses like a bat, but he doesn't look like a photorealistic bat.
Right. Exactly.
So like, I don't know what the thought process between this like realistic cat mask was.
Who knows? But her outfit besides that is basically her classic outfit when she gets the regular mask.
Mhm.
It's just different colors.
Yeah.
But like her dress changes to a green and I think her cape turns to a purple. Or I think it's the other way around actually. But besides that, she's wearing that costume that she's become classically known for. It's just a dumb mask.
The color scheme actually kind of makes it look like she's Garfield.
Yeah. It's not good.
Yeah. I'm wonder if that art exists anywhere.
Maybe. I bet it does.
You know what? I think this warrants a
Go for it.
Google search.
And I will begin with the synopsis. All right.
Hold on.
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah. Nothing specifically. I'm not seeing anything specifically of her like dressed as Garfield, just like drawings of her like hanging out with Garfield.
Okay, I thought that was going to get really dark for a second.
No, nothing like that. I mean, I'm sure if I scroll down
Sure,
a
if you
little
look
bit
for
and I
it.
found something dark.
Okay. I wouldn't take
All
that long.
right, let's get back to the
Yeah.
synopsis.
Okay. Atop one of the towering buildings downtown, an older couple arrive home from a lavish gala. The husband immediately goes to the safe and reminds his wife to lock up her jewels at once. Unfortunately, before she even has the chance to act, a strange figure with the body of a woman and the head of a cat comes in through the penthouse window. This cat woman pulls a gun on the couple and demands that they hand over the jewels. Once the jewels are in the hand, she flees across the rooftop. The man runs to the phone and calls the police. He informs them that he has just been robbed by the cat. The very next morning, when the newspaper hits the street, their headlines all mention something about the cat's return. The cat is back and has struck again. Commissioner Gordon calls a meeting and calls into question the masculinity of all of his officers for letting this mere girl escape from them. He tells them that if they don't catch this cat, that they will be the laughingstock of the country. Then, out of desperation, he assigns none other than McGonagall to the case. McGonagall, due to his dealings with the ugly Horde case. Meanwhile, at the home of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, the two chums are lounging around in the study when Bruce comes across an article about the cat's return. Excitedly, he exclaims that their old friend the cat has returned. Dick, half-jokingly, calls him out, but it doesn't deter Bruce. He suits up as Batman and takes off on foot. When he arrives in the city, the caped crusader flits around the darkened streets, sticking to the shadows, ever vigilant. He hears a cry for help and responds instantly. The Batman sprints down the street and turns the corner into an alleyway to see a group of thugs attempting to murder a seemingly innocent man. He wastes no time at all, jumping into the fray. Batman throws a flurry of punches and body slams one of the men to the pavement. Assuming that all the thugs are taken care of, he rushes over to the victim and removes a knife from his chest. He was too late. Batman questions the man about the cause of his attack, but the man is weak and dying. He only manages to say something about the Diamond Syndicate, a ship, and a warning. Before Batman can figure out what to warn them against, the man that he body slammed to the pavement runs up behind him and pistol whips him in the back of the head. He loses consciousness. When our hero wakes up, he is handcuffed and face to face with none other than McGonagall. The detective tells the Batman that he's got him dead to rights this time, but Batman disagrees and throws a double uppercut into McGonagall's chin, giving him just enough time to escape.
He could have unmasked him at any time.
I know, right? There's some respect there, a little
Yeah.
tiny bit. After finding a way to free himself from the handcuffs, Bruce Wayne decides to go visit his friend, Commissioner Gordon, who, as it turns out, was just on his way to go visit the Diamond Syndicate. He invites Bruce to tag along with him, so of course he does. Gordon questions the owner of the Diamond Syndicate, the owners of the Diamond Syndicate, my bad, Hoffer and Daryl, about the stabbing of their friend. He asks them if there's any reason why he would have been attacked. At first they say nothing, but then one of them speaks up about their incoming shipment of jewels. He tells Gordon that they have a huge shipment of rare and valuable jewelry coming on a ship today, and that they will be having a fashion show of sorts, where models will be strutting and showing off their jewelry to the city's elite socialites. It's possible that someone found out about this shipment and was trying to extract information from their friend when he was stabbed. Gordon offers them protection for the event, and the men part ways. Bruce Wayne makes his way home where he discusses the situation with Dick and formulates a plan to stop the cat from getting her paws on the jewels. You like that?
Nice. That's a good one.
The next night, Bruce heads to the event. Once the rest of the rich socialites have arrived and been seated, the event begins. One of the owners comes up on stage. He begins to usher models in one at a time, describing in detail which piece of jewelry they are wearing and its estimated value. When he gets to the third piece, a lavish diamond necklace worth $500,000, the model wearing it suddenly throws some kind of flashbang or explosive powder onto the stage and then flees. She runs down a long hallway towards an elevator. Once inside, she removes the jewelry and a blonde wig and places both into a small bag. She then produces the mask of the cat and dons the mask just in time for the elevator to reach its destination. The elevator door opens and out flies the cat. Bewildered guards gawk at her as she streaks out the front door and into the powerful grip of a mob enforcer who muscles her into the backseat of a car and takes off. Seconds later, a small green sports car follows suit. Behind the wheel is Robin, the boy wonder. At the same time, the commotion caused by the cat allows Bruce to sneak off into an empty room, where he removes his clothes to reveal the bat suit underneath. Then he pulls on his mask and makes a speedy exit from a window, where he throws his rope across to another building and swings down to the street below. The world's greatest detective arrives at the home of Daryl, of the Diamond Syndicate, where he eavesdrops on the man, talking nervously to himself. Batman makes a dramatic entrance. Daryl panics and pulls a gun on him. Not a good idea. Batman slaps the gun out of his hand and then decks him in the face. Daryl goes down. Batman uses his crotch phone to place a call to Robin. He explains the situation to his ward and then drags Daryl off. Soon, the two men meet up with Robin. He trailed the car to an old house at the edge of the city, it seems. Batman drags Daryl up to the front door, chucks him inside, and then slams the door. A surprised Daryl is confronted with his business partner, who just happens to have Catwoman tied up and at gunpoint, surrounded by thugs. The two men get into an argument, and it is revealed that they were in cahoots. They had made plans with the cat all along to steal their own jewels. They were going to sell them on the black market and cash in on the insurance, making them rich beyond their wildest dreams. Unfortunately for Daryl and the cat, Hoffer and his business partner double-crossed them and decided to take out both and increase their cut of the profits. He pulls his gun on Daryl. Before he can fire up a shot, the dynamic duo bursts into the room. Batman takes down Hoffer, and Robin tackles the thugs. Once the criminals are incapacitated, he unties Catwoman's bonds and sets her free. As soon as the restraints are gone, though, she lunges at Hoffer and attempts to claw at his eyes.
I really liked that. That just the instant, just like rah! Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Batman holds her back. Hoffer tells Batman that he will never be able to pin this on them since there's no proof, but Batman assures him that there is plenty of proof, and he is going down. He explains to Hoffer that Robin has been wearing a high-tech watch camera and that they have recorded everything. Then he tells Catwoman that she will have to be taken into custody as well, since she was part of the conspiracy.
Robin caught him in 4K.
Right? Like, what kind of quality would that watch camera have, and how would anybody ever view it? Anyways,
I'm assuming some kind of microfilm.
Yeah. Catwoman plays coy, but then thanks Batman for saving her life with a dramatic kiss before shoving him backwards and making her escape out a nearby door. Batman and Robin give chase, but she gets away in one of the thug's cars. Robin moves to jump in his car and follow her, but Batman puts his hand on the boy's shoulder and tells him that it's pointless. Robin says it's too bad that she got away. Even if she's a girl, she deserves to pay. Batman says that he's right, but it's actually too bad that she's a crook. Then he makes a really out of character comment that it's a good night for romance. Robin scoffs at the notion. Sometime later, as the Great McGonagall walks down the street, a package lands at his feet. He looks up and briefly sees the Batman. When he opens the package, it contains jewels and a note from Batman explaining everything. McGonagall is pissed that Batman signed the note, "Your pal," but decides to take credit for everything anyways. Across town, Catwoman is driving her getaway car and thinking to herself how nice it would be if Batman were there beside her right now. How nice it would be to act like a normal couple with him. The end.
I do think that the art got rushed near the end there.
A little bit.
It's like kind of the art took a big dive from the last issue, the last story. Like it feels very smudgy and a little rougher.
It could be also the print quality, because sometimes they would have like misprints in those books, and then the art would look a little smudgy and off.
Maybe, but I like we're looking at the remasters, and I don't know. There's a
That's
noticeable dip.
Yeah, that is true. Although that last panel of Catwoman behind the wheel of the car, that's a really good picture of her.
I see. That's one I think is like very like kind of ugly. Like
I think
the idea of it's a good one, but like it's just like her face looks just kind of like a very smudgy and just kind of
it's
like
kind of distorted.
like it's like yeah they're like okay let's just get this one out. This is the last one. We gotta work on Batman number 4.
Right. On to the next one.
Yep.
Yeah. So here, I want to go over these because I feel like some of these are
Yeah.
so okay. So there's a lot of sexism on display here, but it doesn't feel like the writer is sexist. It feels like he's trying to play it off for laughs, like he's making Catwoman out to be so much smarter than all these men. So it's not necessarily that the writing itself is sexist, but I feel more like he's trying to show that men of this era are sexist and their sexism blinds them, right? Specifically in this issue to the threat that Catwoman poses, and it allows them to be taken advantage of more easily. So I guess you could say this is the first real social commentary in a Batman comic, but that might be pushing it a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, I don't know. I think it kind of works, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's easier to see through the lens of time than maybe
Yeah, definitely.
the people writing it back then.
I think reading it back then, you probably wouldn't have gotten any of that from it.
Nah.
But reading it now, you can kind of see that might have been what they were hinting at.
She's also like in the last few stories, she's been in. She hasn't ever been like a direct villain.
No, not
She's
yet.
more of I don't know if we call her an anti-hero, but like she's always, she has her scheme to steal stuff, but there's always like a bigger threat that her and Batman either team up in some way to take down, or
Yeah.
she's working against them. Like she hasn't been stealing from like a church
She's
or anything like that. It's always
she's chaotic neutral.
yeah.
Yeah. D&D. Also, it was really nice to see Catwoman pining after Batman and not just Batman pining after her.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
nice to
that's
see it kind of go both ways.
Mhm.
And this is the first issue where she was in it so far. This is her third appearance, where I actually kind of like felt empathy for her a little bit, only because of that final panel, or I guess towards the end of the book, where it's revealed that she's just working for them. It's not her own plan.
Yeah.
And that, she actually does feel something for Batman and she wishes that they could have some sort of relationship. That's the most character development she's had so far.
Yeah. Oh, they'll get to that in a few decades.
Yeah. I also loved that first kiss because, yes, it's their first kiss, but also it's a classic Catwoman moment that's been repeated over and over and over again, where she's like flirting with Batman or whatever, or kisses him, and then just uses that as a way to like throw him off as a distraction to escape.
Yeah, she's like one of the rare people who can do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really get under Batman's skin.
Yeah. And I know I've said this before too, but man, I love Robin in these old comics so much. He's the voice of reason. Like he can tell that Batman is into Catwoman and that something about her clouds his judgment. And so he like makes that offhanded comment about, I guess I'll read that panel because I put that panel in here, but he makes an offhanded comment to him about her like, oh, I guess it's time to get to work for you, huh?
Yeah.
But he's not going to stop him.
But he's also, he's like a kid at this time, and
He's a kid, but they treat each other like equals.
they do. I think though that's like a point of contention between the two. They do treat each other as equals, but like he's still a kid, so at this point he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
So like
I get that a little
yeah,
bit too, where he's like, "Ew, romance,"
yeah.
but
And it's also still like a comic for kids, and like he's gonna be the kid point of view,
yeah.
so kids aren't gonna get it, but the men reading it or the dads, a little something for the dads.
Yeah. I wonder how long it'll be before Robin has a crush on someone in one of these comics.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
It's gotta happen eventually.
it will happen eventually. Maybe they play that up when they introduce the not the not the Barbara Gordon Batgirl, but
Oh, the original Batgirl?
the original
Yeah.
Batgirl. Yeah,
That's probably exactly where it starts,
probably.
but I could be wrong. You could be wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, I would guess we still got like at least 12 in like I don't know, 12, 13 in
Yeah.
comic years before that happens.
Last thing I put in here on my notes was I really like the parallel drawn between Batman and Catwoman at the Jewel Show,
Mhm.
where they both come in disguise as their normal selves, right?
Yeah.
Only to like take their clothes off. Like in Batman's case, he takes his clothes off and his bat suit's underneath.
Mhm.
In her case, she takes her wig off and then puts her cat face on.
Yeah.
But like it reminded me a little bit of Batman Returns when they're like at that dance
I was just thinking that.
and they're both
Yeah.
just like time to get to work. It's like
Yeah, and they both figure it out.
yeah,
I really liked that moment in that movie.
it's really cool.
They don't immediately go hate each other. They're kind of like, "Oh shit, what do we do now?"
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really good.
let's get into these
Yeah.
panels. Unless you
Oh,
have something else to add.
the crotch phones.
Oh yeah,
They brought the crotch phones back.
they changed them a little though.
I don't know. There's arguments if they're more ridiculous or less ridiculous.
I think in a weird way they're more ridiculous because they have to like mess with these wires.
Yeah,
So
like he's pulling something out of his crotch now instead of
yeah,
talking directly into
so
it.
putting his head down there and talking to like this little antenna that comes out.
Yeah,
It's less
now he
phallic,
just
but
holds a. Well, it could be argued as more foul because he's pulling something out of his crotch, and it's just like this wire that unspools. And I mean, it's got
maybe
a
like
receiver
talks
to
into it.
talk to it normally, but
Yeah.
it's still ridiculous.
To me, the other one seems more plausible
Mhm.
because, I've seen a lot of like older sci-fi movies and stuff.
Yeah.
If Batman were to like talk into his, like push a button and say like the antenna comes out and
Yeah.
then he were to like talk into it, you would assume that like Robin's would just come out automatically and then he'd like hear Batman.
Hmm.
But like what? How does Robin know to just be like ready to like pull those wires out and put them up to his mouth and so he
Yeah.
can like, there's a little bit of logical flaw there.
Yeah, like does it vibrate? Does it make a noise?
Please tell me the crotch phone vibrates.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Whichever's got to be more stealthy because you can't just have your crotch phone beeping in the middle of
Right.
doing reconnaissance. So
Plays the Batman theme. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
oh, that would be funny.
Yeah.
All right, now I think we can get into the panels now.
Okay. This first one's yours.
Yeah,
I think the first two are yours.
I put in a couple more just because I forgot I did these ones, but
I wanted to put in so many more too, actually.
yeah.
But go on. Let's start with
all right,
this.
so the first one mostly just because the art. Like I did complain about the art earlier, but like these two panel, like this panel shot is actually really good. It's a guy on the phone, like worrying
Mhm.
about the cat. But it's just like it's the pile of newspapers, and it like in the middle of it, one says like who is the cat, and then it's got the cat's like face in it. Um, that's drawn pretty well. I actually really like the way that works.
I like how he's saying, hello, police? Like, dude, you called 911. Who
Yeah.
else would it be?
Well, phones work differently back then.
I know you had to like go through an operator and all that.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
you're like, operator, give me the police. Why
Yeah.
didn't he just say that?
Or I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I love how there's been so many issues where they just show like a grip of newspapers
Mhm.
with different headlines all pertaining to the same thing.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's gonna be a long time until newspapers are irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then the next, I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. It's mostly just this like exchange I really like.
Gordon's an asshole.
Yeah, it's the first time we get really see Gordon be an asshole, but it's also like, why is he being an asshole? So, he's gathered his men. They decide, okay, we need to stop the cat, and he assigns McGonagall to the case.
Mm-hmm.
So like, he thinks highly enough of McGonagall to like bring in the cat because especially of how he handled the ugly horde. And then McGonagall's, yes, sir, as sure as my name is McGonagall. And then Gordon immediately flips with, shut up.
I know.
Like, what's going on?
And not only is he telling him to shut up like mid-sentence, he's like telling him to shut up while lighting a match because he's about to smoke a cigar.
Yeah, like, it's like you respect him enough to give him the case, but you
Yeah.
find him kind of detestable, so you hate just how vain he is.
And apparently McGonagall is like intimidated by Gordon because he like
Yeah,
is like, yes, sir. And like his cigar falls out of his mouth.
yeah. Oh, okay, so my last, I haven't put it in here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I did have one more panel, but,
This panel is mine.
yeah, but before that, just want a quick comment on the, when Bruce visits, like, the scene with, Gordon and all that.
Yeah.
Did you see let me pull it up here. See how big Bruce's suit is?
I did notice that because that was the moment where I noticed that he's starting to look eerily like the Bruce Wayne from Batman the Animated Series.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, the big brown suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this here reminded me more of, I think his name David Byrne from Talking Heads,
Yeah.
the Big Suit show.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so big. It looks like he's like trying to smuggle something in there.
It does. It's like Robin's in the suit.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like, is he smuggling Robin in there? Like,
All right, Robin, they're not gonna let any kids at the crime scene, so I have a plan.
right?
Yeah. All right, let's get to your panels.
Okay. So the first panel I picked is Bruce Wayne sitting in the chair at the study, and Robin like kicking back against the mantle, and it's saying that it's basically just like in the home of Bruce Wayne, blah blah blah. But then this is the panel where Bruce is like, "Oh, our old friend the cat seems to be making headlines," and then Robin's got his arms crossed and his leg like propped up because he's got this attitude problem here, and he's like, "I suppose that's more or less a call for you to go into action." Like,
He wants nothing to do with this case.
I just thought it was so funny. He's just like, "Yeah, I remember last time we ran into her.
Yeah.
Freaking let her go, and you're gonna do it again, aren't you?"
Yeah, he knows how it's gonna go.
Yeah, I love Robin giving Batman
He
sass.
should be more grateful though, because like she saved his life.
I mean, he should be grateful anyways. He's
Yeah.
freaking Robin.
That's true.
He's Robin. But yeah, it's funny. And then the next panel I picked for the same reason I pick a lot of panels. It's just a really epic shot of Batman.
That is a shot they've redrawn like so many
Dude,
times already.
So many shots they've redrawn so many times.
Yeah.
Like, so many. There's at least 5 or 6 that he regurgitates in every issue at this point.
Yeah. Though
That's awesome.
I do like the caption.
Yeah, that's the main reason I picked it is because just like with the last one, it's a beautiful shot that's encapsulated by a circle or a square, and then
Yeah.
it has a caption, and the caption just perfectly describes it. So it says, like a tall mantled wraith in the darkness, the Batman moves under the very shroud of night itself. I
Yeah.
gotta like put all those together into like a collection, just make like a little
Mhm.
digest sized book full of all the awesome panels with the awesome descriptions.
Yeah.
Nice. This next one is
I chose
this one was yours, and then the one
Yeah.
underneath it's mine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nice clean shot of Batman knocking a guy in the fist.
Knocks him in the
knock
fist.
knock him into with the knock him in the chin.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just really liked it.
I like that he's been doing this in the last couple issues too, where he like just hauls off and decks someone, and then he's like, "This is just a sample."
Yeah.
Like, I love that. I think that happened in the last two or the last 2 episodes that we recorded.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily bring it to attention, but I just like that he's like, "Yeah, this is nothing. Wait till you see what I really got." And then I picked this. This is like half a page here that I put in here. The first part of it's not really all that important. I just wanted to capture the interaction between him and Catwoman
Mm.
because, I mean, like, it's hilarious, and
Yeah.
it is their first like kiss, you know?
It's pretty historic.
Yeah, and it's just like him uncuffing her, and then she's like, "Oh, I want to save you," or save you. She's like, "Oh, I want to repay you for saving my life," and she like spins around and kisses him, and there's like all these like shaky lines coming off of him because he's like, "What the?" And then she shoves him and just like runs out a door and slams it before he can get out. It's so good.
Yep. Batman is all too human.
So, you want to go over what we're gonna go into the next episode?
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Well, any final thoughts?
Not really. I mean, this issue is pretty straightforward. It feels more like a traditional Batman story because
Mhm.
you know it's like the villain of the week type thing. The most important thing in it was just like seeing Batman and Catwoman have this sort of like relationship going on, and how it's like just starting to really develop. And I got to take some notes for that Batman story I'm writing because
Mm.
this is where it starts.
All right. So next episode we'll be covering Batman number 4, the first story, The Case of the Joker's Crime Circus,
Excited for that one.
and Detective Comics number 49, Clayface Walks Again.
Equally excited for that one.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
I love that old school Clayface. So
Yeah.
good.
All right. So catch us next time. Thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and shut off the podcast, go for it. But I want to read this little blurb.
Yeah, all right.
If anybody doesn't want to hear it, they can tune out. But I want to
Cool.
read it because this just hammers home what I was saying about that issue being that story being a PSA.
Yeah, this page, this is like the final page of Batman number 3.
Yeah, and it's just like a close up of like Batman and Robin, and it's this blank yellow page and says the Batman says, And then he's talking directly to the reader, which, is obviously supposed to be kids. This is the most Batman talks ever in these comic books. But he's like, "Hello, readers. Now that you've read all these adventures of mine and Robin's, I'd like to talk right at you for a minute or so. I think Robin and I make it pretty clear that we hate crime and criminals. There's nothing we like better than to crack down on some distasteful denizens of the underworld. Why? Because we're proud of being Americans." Of course. And we know there's no place in this great country of ours for lawbreakers. The phrase "crime doesn't pay" has been used over and over again to the point where I hesitate to repeat it. But remember this, it's just as true now as it ever was. And that's plenty true. Sure, it may seem that lawbreakers do get away with breaking the law. Some may even get away with it longer than others, but in the end, every crook gets what's coming to them, and that means plenty of trouble with the law. Robin and I hope that our adventures may help to put over that fact. We'd like to feel that our efforts may help every youngster to grow into an honest, useful citizen. It depends on you, and you, and you. You've got to govern your own lives so that they can be worthwhile, fruitful lives, not lives wasted in prison or even thrown away altogether before the ready guns of law enforcement agents whose duty it is to guard those of us who are honest from those of us who are not. And not only must you be your own guide in the proper channels, you must also strive to be a good influence on the lives of others. If you do all this, if you are definitely on the side of the law and order, then Robin and I salute you and are glad to number you amongst our friends. And then Robin's just like, "And that goes double for me."
Very chilling.
What a freaking mouthful.
Yeah.
Like, Batman would never say that crap. He may think it, but he would never say it.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. We'll be there next week.
Later.
Goodbye.